Back on the SportsMax zone into the fast lane now. Several Caribbean athletes were in action at the season-opening Diamond League meet in Doha on Friday. Jamaica's Daniel Thomas Dodd finished fifth in the shot put with a best throw of 18.72 metres. Another Jamaican, Sharika Richardson, won gold in the triple jump with a leap of 14.82 metres. On the track, there were 4 Caribbean competitors in the women's 400 metres. Olympic champion Bahamian Sha'Carri Richardson had to settle for third in 51.84 seconds, while Jamaican Stephanie Ann McPherson took second in 51.69. The winner was Lady Paulino of the Dominican Republic in 51.20 seconds. Caribbean athletes actually finishing the first 5 there, because the Barbadian Sade Williams was 4th and Candice McLeod was 5th. Sharika Jackson finished second to the USA's Gabby Thomas in the 200 metres in 22.07 seconds. Anthony Strawn of the Bahamas finished in 5th in 22.78. Over on the men's side, Trinidad and Tobago's Sha'Carri Richardson took bronze in the 200 metres in 20.5, that's 15 seconds. Leighton Levy now joins us to talk about the top performers, and let's start with Anderson Peters, shall we, in the javelin. What a stunning effort he had today. Personal best in middle of May. Yeah,
look, era record, personal best, world leading throw, and the 5th best throw of all time. Anderson Peters is a winner, huh? 6-time character champion, 2-time NCAA champion, world champion. I don't know what happened at the Olympics last year, but certainly this year he must be among the favorites based on what we saw today. He's a lot bigger, it seems, a lot stronger, and clearly he's been outstanding. I mean, his very first throw was a new national record. Then he took, Jakob took the lead from him with an 89-meter throw. Then he came back with a 90.19. Then Jakob threw 90.88, and then he just said, okay, well, let me just wrap it up now. 93.07, and, world lead at the best throw since last year this time. And I think, he's been, there are no words to describe that performance by Anderson Peters today. He was just absolutely fabulous.
Yeah, I remember he had, a knee surgery 2 years ago, and last year's build-up, Leighton, would have been very patchy heading to the Olympic Games. He did not look outstanding heading to the Olympic Games, so that probably was part of the reason why we didn't see him at his best in Tokyo.
Yeah, and that explains it, because when I did have a conversation with him last year, he sounded extremely confident. He said, everybody's throwing further than he was, but on the day, it's who comes and performs on the day, and that's always been his mentality that has led to so much success for him over the years. But, notwithstanding that, though, what we saw from him today tells us that he's in probably the best shape of his life now, and that's an ominous sign for the rest of the world, given how consistent he tends to be in the years when he's healthy.
Yeah, ominous might not be the word, but eye-catching, the fact that all the top 5 finishers in the women's 400 went to Caribbean athletes, and Lady Paulino, the silver medalist from Tokyo last year from the Dominican Republic, was in the top spot. The brilliant Sha'Carri Richardson beaten today.
Yeah, that was a bit of a surprise, but when you look at the backstory, Sha'Carri's coach, Lance Brahman, apparently, they've been working on different race models for her, because if you remember when we did that on-point interview with her last year, she did say she wanted to target 47 seconds this year. You remember the record has been standing since 83, 47.60 by Barita Park. So, she's going after that. So maybe they're thinking a different race plan would probably help get her closer. Having run 48.3 in back-to-back championships in 2019 and, of course, at the Olympics last year, they probably figured out that a different race plan would help her get closer to the mark. The problem with today, though, was that down the backstretch, they were facing a wind that was, according to the commentators, close to 5 meters per second. She would have to burn up a lot of energy to maintain the pace through that backstretch. And as you saw at the end of the race, she didn't have anything left, which what eventually helped Stephanie McPherson to get past her late in the race. And of course, Paulino, who stuck to her traditional race plan, came through a convincing winner. So I think, what we saw from Sha'Carri was a trial that didn't necessarily work given the conditions, because the wind conditions at the meet today were ridiculous. In the triple jump, Sha'Carri Richardson's jump, her winning jump was aided by a 6.5 meter per second wind. That was probably the norm for many of the events today. As you know, the conditions were blustery and difficult for the athletes.
Yeah, well, Leighton, since you touched on Sharika Richardson, I'm going to move on to Sharika Jackson now and her performance taking silver in the women's 200 meter.
Well, I think it was a pretty solid performance from her. It's her first 200 this season because, as you know, she ran indoors, 7:04 new personal best done from 7:31, which suggests that she's working on her speed. And, of course, a couple of 400s here in Jamaica and, of course, in Bermuda, where she ran 51.4 into a hurricane there. And when I spoke to her last Saturday, after she ran the 111 flat in that minus 1.8 wind, which is about 10.87, she said she was doing the double this year, and she's pretty confident about, you know, where her form is at the moment. This 200-meter race came against Gabby Thomas, who's been running. Gabby Thomas has had about 6 or 7 races this year, including a 22:02 coming into this meet. So I think what we saw from Sharika today was pretty solid, but Gabby Thomas was just sharper because she's raced a lot more this season. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Sharika run much faster as it gets to closer to the national championship next month. So I think this will be a good outing for her. It's her first loss of the season, but still, 22:07 is nothing to sneeze at. Actually, a very good time.
Right, and your assessment of the BVI's Karen McMaster's performance today?
Karen is, listen, you're looking at Alison Dos Santos is not a normal human being, okay? He's 21 years old, and he's running times. I remember the Olympics last year, he finished third, but he ran 46.72. He beat Rai Benjamin today. I think what we saw from Karen is just basically him getting his legs under him this season, and of course, you know, shaking off some of the rust from having not competed that much for the 400-meter hurdles. I think this is probably his season opener in the hurdles, so he's a little bit rusty. So I wouldn't be particularly alarmed about the performance. If it gets closer to June and he's still not doing well, then we cause for concern. But he was in a very quick race today, and I think maybe his legs just weren't ready to go that fast. 47.2 as an opener for Dos Santos is ridiculous, and beating Rai Benjamin, you know, the second fastest man in history, just tells you what kind of quality performance that was today. Nobody outruns Rai Benjamin down the stretch except Barholm, and we saw young Dos Santos do it today. You know, the first time he was getting the better of Rai Benjamin.
Yeah, we spoke about Leighton Hyde's departure and his departure from Portmore Football Club. His son, Jaheel Hyde, was in that 400 hurdles today, finishing 5th just behind Kyron McMaster. But we remember, Leighton, back when they were juniors, Jaheel Hyde had beaten McMasters at the World Juniors. McMasters has improved significantly since then. But how do you rate Jaheel Hyde's current status as a 400-meter hurdler? Because we've seen a few years when he has sort of stagnated.
Well, he's moved around a lot. I mean, you know, he was over by UAE, I think, and then he went to MVP, and then he left again. And, you know, last year he ran 48.18, which was a big PB for him. Unfortunately for Jaheel, 48.18 was 20 years ago. The event has moved to a level now where if you're not able to run 47.5s or 47.3s or even lower than that consistently, you're not going to be able to challenge the best in the world. 45.94 is the new world record. The best the next 3 times, 46.17 and 46.72, is the benchmark of what he's facing. When you look at Dos Santos, who's 21 years old, right? Dos Santos is remarkably talented, and of course you have Samba to come, you have McMaster, you have a whole bunch of other hurdlers who are running 47s with consistency. I think, you know, it's unfortunate for Jaheel, but right now 50 points today doesn't tell me much because, you know, it's his first real race of the season. But still, it has to be concerning that for all the time since his World Under 20 days, he has not managed to broach 48 seconds flat, which would have taken him into the area of that event where he's more competitive. I don't know what plans his coach have for him this year. I'm hoping that he'll be able to get better than that 48.18 this year. But if he doesn't, he might well, but I will have to find a career in football because he's a really talented footballer who could have been playing maybe MLS or somewhere else. But he needs to improve, and he needs to improve drastically to be able to be competitive in the 400-meter hurdles now.
Yeah, the men's half-lap sprint, the Americans Lyles and Curley, pretty solid today, 1972 and 1975. Sha'Carri Richardson, the world indoor 400-meter champion, finishing third there, but significantly defeating the Olympic champion Andre de Grasse, who was fourth.
Yeah, good form. I mean, good form from Noah Lyles. The race was slightly winded at 2.1 meters per second. Curley, I think, would have been disappointed given how well he's been running so far this season. But Noah Lyles is not somebody to dismiss. He's a talented athlete, and of course, 1950 tells you what he has in his legs. But I think it was a good performance from the top four, actually. I thought were really good today. I think Andre de Grasse is just probably just shorter races, and I think we'll see better from him, as well as Sha'Carri Richardson as the season progresses. Because remember, this is a closely compacted season here. The Diamond League season begins now, of course. National championships for most of these countries in the Western Hemisphere are next month, and then the World Championships are the middle of July. So they have a compacted season. So a lot of them are probably still loading now to taper off towards their national championships come next month, and then probably prepare and then sharpen up even further for the World. So some of the times that you probably will see now, I think, are not truly indicative of the form that athletes will probably be in like next 4 to 5 weeks.
Yeah.
So, good performances all around, I think, from the top four today. But, outstanding from Noah Lyles, and of course, the outstanding Fred Curley, 44.2, 20.2 opening his season, of course, being consistently fast so far. You have to wonder how fast he'll go this season as it gets closer to Oregon. Sorry, not Doha.
Yeah, understood. Leighton, we cannot let you leave without discussing Justin Gatlin's statement about Sha'Carri Richardson running 10.3 seconds in training. This is what Gatlin said.
She's a dog. She comes out to practice, and the reason why we have stopwatches is because you can be able to compute to tell you where they are on the track and what pace they're running. And if they're in a real race, this is the time they'll finish in, right? She comes through, boop, 10.5s, boop, 10.3s. You know what I mean? That's smashing the world record that Flojo put together. So if she's doing that at practice, it's only going to be a moment in time where if she puts together in a track meet, in a real meet, she's breaking the world record.
Leighton, you're laughing.
I like Justin, right? I really like Justin. Justin's a really nice guy. But the 10.3s, I don't believe. The 10.5s I heard about from other sources, and those sources are really reliable sources. But the thing about it, based on what we're hearing this year, she has barely been training. And of course, a recent tweet, I think just this week, she said that gold medals might not be her ambitions or something like that along those lines. And the great Steve Williams, the great sprinter from the 1970s, said that if that's the mindset, then your career is already over. So what are we to believe? I like Justin, but I think this was just a little bit over the top, and I think, I don't know what to say about that. I just think that I think he got a little bit ahead of himself with the 10.3s. The 10.5s we've heard about before, and again from reliable sources. 10.3s now, I don't believe it. I don't believe that 10.3s thing. So
yeah,
I think Justin likes her. He's her mentor, but he will boost her up. So I think that's simply what that was. But beyond that,
all right, Leighton, we'll leave it there. We'll talk. Right. We'll talk again soon.
Right, take it easy, guys.
Okay, and let's wish Leighton's Liverpool all the best in the FA Cup final against Chelsea on Saturday. We have more to come on the SportsMax Zone after this.
Stay with SportsMax on YouTube and follow us on all social pages for updates, news and entertainment.